Hello there. Welcome back to my channel, Snips by Kelly. I'm Kelly and I'm so excited to be back with you here on YouTube after a bit of an illness. And I'm mostly excited to debut a brand new fall line as well as sticker sheets. 12 by 12 sticker sheets. Yes, let me say that again. 12 by 12 sticker sheets. On September 6th, 4 new lines launched that have 12 by 12 scrapbooking stickers. So excited about that. And tonight we're using the Sweet Days of Autumn 12 by 12 paper pack and sticker sheet. So if you take a look at the sticker sheet, we have some longer strips that are 12 inches all the way across. We have some great title stickers, some smaller sentiment stickers. We have some rounded stickers and lots of decorative elements, including dovetailed banners. If we look at the Sweet Days of Autumn paper pack, we have 4 sheets each of 3 double-sided designs. So you see this nice busy tree pattern and then the hero forest animal side. We also have some pretty wash brown graph paper with a tree side on the back. And then a little bit of a floral, smaller pattern in the green tones with a wonderful Cajun craze leaf pattern on the back side. I love the color combinations. I love fall, and we're going to be using this paper pack and sticker sheet as well as some of the faux glass dots to create a super simple layout. This is going to be an easy layout to duplicate. Let's take a look at some of the coordinating colors. We, of course, have Cajun Craze, Crushed Curry, Early Espresso, Mossy Meadow, Old Olive, Pecan Pie, and a little bit of Petal Pink. And all of these colors, of course, really lend themselves to fall or outdoor. And I'm loving that it is two-tone. So yes, we now have two-tone cardstock with a lighter side on the back and a true side on the front. And it is a white core center. Love this combination. And I feel like the faux glass dots are going to have all the colors that we need for this. Now, I just got back from an annual girl trip and we went to Amelia Island, Florida, my girlfriend Amy and I. And one of the days while in Florida, we did a 10-mile bike ride and we rented some Pedego electric bikes, and it was my first time on an electric bike. And although you can still pedal, and I did definitely still pedal, it gives you a little bit of a boost with a little bit of an electric burst. And we absolutely loved this bike ride, and we have some funny photos and we have some scenery photos and we got some photos by the beach. And I kind of envision a little bit of a layout like this where I have a little bit of a background where I do a little bit of play on some longer and shorter rectangles. And I don't think that I want the background rectangle to be perfectly straight. I think I would like it to be a little bit offset in both of the background pieces. So I have a couple white willow white pieces here, which is formerly known as white daisy. And I have those in 10.5 by 10.5, but I want to preserve a little bit of the center. But because my squares are going to be wonky, I'm going to have to gut that brown espresso, early espresso graph paper a little bit wider. So I'm going to gut it with a 1.5 inch frame. So I'm going to start at 1.5 inches down, and then I'm going to stop at 10.5 and then rotate. So 1.5 inches in, 1.5 inches down, and stop at the 10.5 mark at the bottom and rotate it all the way around to make a wider frame that's going to accommodate the willow white piece that is going to be a little bit wonky and a little bit off-centered. And I absolutely had so much fun with Amy on this bike ride. So it's 10 miles and we actually went from Amelia Island all the way up to Talbot Island and across a large bridge. And then you can ride the bikes on the beach. You can ride them on bike trails. You can ride them in the city. You can ride them in all different areas on the island. And it's wonderful bike trails with foliage and birds and all kinds of things along the trail. And we had great exercise, great fun. And we were able to stop off and have a photo against some different areas of the beach and enjoy just getting out into the air. Now, there was a bit of a nor'easter that was coming through while we were on the island. So it was super overcast while we were there. We had a tiny little bit of sun, but not much. And so the bike ride was perfect. It was a little bit cooler, still humid, but it was in the 80s and it was very tolerable on the bikes. And we really had a great time. We had a couple funny photos where all you could see is my eyeballs. And I was sort of trying to keep pedaling and take pictures of Amy in the background. So that was kind of fun. So now that I've gutted those two early espresso frames, the graph paper frames, and I've added 10.5 by 10.5 willow white to the background, I actually want to do a play on some longer and shorter rectangle and squares. So I have a 3.5 by 4.5 of the green floral like circular pattern, and then 3.5 by 3.5 of the Cajun Craze leaf pattern, and then the busy tree pattern is 3.5 by 4.5, and then I actually have a little bit of the mossy meadow in 3.5 by 3.5. But now, because Stampin' Up! Has two-tone cardstock in some of its colors, we're going to have a light side of Mossy Meadow and a dark side of Mossy Meadow. So I'm going to use that in a couple different ways. I like the concept of the longer pieces actually maybe even coming off the bottom of the white. I sort of play around with the pieces staying on the white, and then I like the play a little bit later of them actually coming off the white and then coming a little onto the early espresso graph paper. Now I'm actually going to create some photo mats here, and I'm going to use the Mossy Meadow on the light side in the 3.5 by 3.5 inch square. And then I'm going to make a photo mat on the dark side that is going to be 4 by 6. And then I think we'll have a white interior piece that would be 3 3/4 by 5 3/4. And I'm just kind of trying to get that right. My photo is actually an odd size. I printed that on my my photo printer at home, it is 3.5 by 5. So again, 3.5 by 5 inch photo, 3 3/4 by 4 3/4 white, willow white photo mat, and then 4 by 6. I believe it's 4 by 6, or is it? Let's see. Hold on. Maybe let me double check that. 4 by. Oh no, I'm so sorry. 4 by 5.5 would be the Mossy Meadow piece. And so the white piece would be 3 3/4 by 4 5 1/4. Yeah, I'm so sorry. My gosh, I've messed that up. All right, so everything is a quarter up. So I have a 3.5 by 5 inch photo and a quarter more all the way around in white, and then a quarter more than that all the way around in the Mossy Meadow. So now I'm just arranging these pieces, and I'm going to toggle them a little bit. I'm not going to have them directly across from each other. I'd like the tree piece to be hanging down about a little over 1/4 of an inch over the willow white piece. And then I'm going to leave a tiny bit of space between the squares. So we've got the longer rectangle, a smaller square, and then the longer rectangle. And then we're going to center the photo of Amy and I on the bikes. Now, my bike was a fat tire bike. Amy's bike was a 26-incher beach bike. And so I loved that I could experiment. And I thought, living on a gravel road in the country, definitely mountain bikes are needed living in the country. But I thought, you know what? I truly think the Pedegro bikes would be amazing even if you lived on a gravel road in the country. I've even heard that you can use them in the snow, and I had a great time. We both had a great time, and such a lovely, lovely day. So now on the right page, I'm actually adding some size. So I'm going 4.5 by 6 on the, 4.5 by 5.5 on the larger rectangles, and then 4.5 by 4.5 on the smaller squares on the right. And I foresee adding 4 3.5 by 3.5 photos over on the right with just an 1/8 square. So it's going to be about 7.25 by 7.25 of the white, and then we have the frame around it that is it looks like 7 5/8 by 7 5/8. I'm going to add a little bit of mossy meadow. So again, I'm going to flip over the mossy meadow 4.5 by 4.5 inch square on the light side of mossy meadow so that the photo mat can be on the true side or the dark side of the mossy meadow. It's so great to have two colors in one, and we have had quite a few colors that have dropped on the shop site as of September 6th of single colors of two-sided cardstock. I believe there's 5 new ones. And then also in the 4 new workshops that dropped, 2 Christmas, 1 Halloween, and this fall one have the two-tone cardstock in those as well. And it's so much fun. So we have, again, 2 Christmas ones, a Halloween Memories, and a Snowy Days, and then a Reindeer. I believe it's Reindeer Memories is the other one. And so now I thought perhaps I could take a couple strips. So because we gutted the graph paper, early espresso graph paper, into frames, we have a nice a nice piece of pattern paper, in the center of that. So I'm going to cut a 1/2 inch strip, 2 1/2 inch strips off of that remaining piece from the inside, and we'll just tuck it alongside the willow white piece over here off to the right and the left. And I think what I'll do is tear both ends and then put one of the tree strips up more toward the top, and then one of the tree strips on the right more toward the bottom. And it's sort of taking shape. I really wanted this. This is going to be part of my Simply Scrappin Workshop. So I create a 10-page Simply Scrappin Workshop, and my Simply Scrappin promise is that there won't be any Cricut cuts needed, any stamping needed, or any elevated techniques needed. Now, I actually do use a circle punch in this, and I often don't even use punches or anything. I try really, really hard to keep it super simple so you can do it just with basic techniques and paper cutting. I'm actually pulled out my brown LePen and my green LePen, and I'm really loving the green LePen, and I'm just going to draw some journal lines to add interest around the willow white. It's a very inexpensive way to add a little bit of technique to a very simple, easy to duplicate layout without adding stamping or blending or splattering or any added Cricut techniques. And so my promise to my Simple Scrappers is that my Simply Scrappin Workshops will be a lower price point with simpler materials and supplies without any equipment needed. And so I try to find little ways to add embellishments to pages without adding Cricut cuts and other things. So I've just torn a little bit of the leftover pattern paper with the forest animals on it. It's about a 1/2 by 3.5 inch piece. I've torn the edges, and I'm going to use that to decorate with another about a little over maybe a 3/8 inch piece of the Cajun Craze leaf paper that's by 3. Torn both of the edges on that, and I'll probably be adding some stickers to that as well. So now I'm experimenting. We need a title. And so I'm experimenting with some of the really neat titles. Now, I love the title that's on the green. I think it goes with my photos really well, but it's a little too much mossy meadow. It would be too much green on green. And the Grateful title I love too, but it's a little bit big for the type of layout that I've chosen. So I'm thinking maybe I could just use a combination of a lot more little pieces. I like the title, Can't Get Enough of This. and we definitely couldn't get enough. We had actually an excursion that we were taking after the bike ride, and the bike ride took about 3 hours, I guess. We made stops. We looked at some, native birds. We looked at some of the landscape. We took our time, and so it took about 3 hours, or a little longer than 3 hours, and so we were running into the next adventure that we were going to go on, which was some mini catamarans, and we were going to go and look for some alligators and some dolphins and some sea life, and we were going to go have some fun, and we were running out of time on our bike ride, or we definitely couldn't get enough of it, though. We would have definitely stayed longer on the bikes had we had a little longer. So I have a couple punches here, a couple circle punches, and I usually don't use punches on my Simply Scrappin, but most people that I know, most paper crafters that I know, have a way to make a circle, whether it's a circular blade or it's a punch or it's a die. And so I have a 1 3/4 inch punch and a 2-inch circle punch, and I'm just going to use it to add some rounded elements. We have an awful lot of rectangles and squares and edges. We have sharp edges in this layout, and so I want to add some rounded elements. So I have done this on, I believe it's a light side of pecan pie, the light side of Cajun craze, and then the dark side of petal pink. You could do, any combination of light or dark, whatever you like. I actually haven't made the petal pink circle yet because I was trying to make these two circles work, and I added the sticker from the sticker sheet, which is the arrow, the early espresso dot arrow, and, and then the other word sticker, and I didn't like how there was a little bit sticking out and there was a gap. So I end up making the petal pink circle out of the 1 3/4 inch circle punch. I've been loving these simple circle punches and how fast they are. So I haven't been a punch collector. I don't own punches. I own very few. I think I own 1 punch or maybe 2 punches before I joined Stampin' Up. And I think I've purchased about 3 punches from Stampin' Up, and 2 of them were basic circles. Why basic circles when I have so many circle thin cuts? Because they're so fast and easy. And I really wanted to give them a try because it's something that's really popular among Stampin' Up customers and they really love their punches. So I wanted to see what all the fuss was about. So I snipped off the top of the petal pink circle so that didn't bother my eye anymore. And then I added a little round circle heart sticker up on the torn decorative elements up at the top. And now I'm actually going to divide 1 sticker into 3 parts and make 3 dovetailed pieces. That little green pattern up at the upper left of the photo is bothering me. It's a lot of space, but I can't afford to use a ton of the stickers because I stretch my Simply Scrappin workshops to 10 pages. So I want to get 10 scrapbooking pages out of the paper pack and sticker sheet and the bling. And so in order to stretch it to 10 pages, I need to conserve stickers and make sure that I have enough stickers for each of the 5 2-page layouts. So I'm actually just using the end of the banner as the guide, and I'm cutting 3 banners out of 1 banner, and then I'll make a nice little banner, little string banner that goes across the corner of that, and it adds as a filler for some of the space. So I've added some mini dimensionals on the back of those pieces, and then I think it would look really neat to have some of the glass dots and going in between those. I could draw a string in between the banners, but I think the glass dots would look really neat. And there's like several colors to choose from that go with this layout. And so I think that it would be nice to maybe use a different tone of green. So now we have several tones of green, lights and dark greens, because of the 2-tone cardstock, and then light and dark greens in the pattern papers. And so I'm just going to add the glass dot right in between. So all the glass dots in the faux glass dots are some of them are large and some of them are small. And I think that I'm just using large on this And then, but you can definitely add some smaller dots if you would like to. Now again, because it's my Simply Scrappin, I'm actually going to hand make a tag. So I'm going to make a 2 by 3 inch piece of the Mossy Meadow, one on the light side, one on the dark side, cut a corner off to make a corner of a tag, flip that piece over, and then use it as the guide on the other end to make the perfect tag. Once I have the tag, then I'm going to lay it over the second piece and make yet another tag. I'm going to cut a little bit off of the end of the tags, and then I can balance the 2 green colors on the left side of the photo of Amy and I on the bikes and add the green over on the right side over the Cajun craze and that lighter pattern. And then I think I could do a little bit of journaling on those. I could use a little bit of journal pen all the way around the outside of the tags, and then I could put a couple additional glass dots on it. What an easy way, if you're promising not to use dies or die cutting or Cricut cutting, to make quick and easy tags by hand. Sometimes it's actually easier than to make those tags by hand than it is to go put your paper on the Cricut. Now I have a little tiny piece of the top of the petal pink circle that I trimmed off, and those who know me know I'm a little bit of a scavenger, that I don't throw away pieces, because you never know where you can tuck those and use those again. So I'm going to tuck those into those tags, and then I'm actually going to come around with my green LePen and draw journaling lines. I don't have the most steady hand, but I'm just drawing my hand down. I'm starting at one point, drawing it up, drawing it down, and making little doodling, journaling lines around those tags, and I'm happy with that. I like how that just adds a little pizzazz, and it's a very inexpensive way to add added touches to your pages without, again, stamping or doing something else. I love elevated pages. I use the workshop kits, and I add Cricut cuts to them, and I add dies to them, and I add stamping and other techniques. But on my simple scrapping workshops, I always promise not to. So could you come back in and do a little bit of inking, stamping, blending, splattering? Absolutely you could, but my promise is to keep it super simple. And so that's what I'm doing. And I love that it's caseable then. It is easy to case, it's easy to copy, and it's easy for people to reduplicate. And that's what I love, is making sure that there's lots of simple ideas that people can follow. So I'm doing the, making some more circle punches, petal pink, Cajun craze, and some of the Mossy Meadow. I'm doing the Mossy Meadow, I believe, on the light side, the Cajun craze on the dark side, and the petal pink on the dark side, and just making a little circle cluster. So the Cajun craze circle is the 2-inch circle, and I believe petal pink is 2-inch, and Mossy Meadow is 1 3/4 inches. And then I'm looking for maybe some possible little sticker elements to add to that. I really like the little tree sticker here, and maybe adding a little bit of the mini dimensionals to the back of that, and just kind of having that tie in with the other pattern paper. So we've got the 3 trees that match the pattern paper trees, and then maybe adding a couple little sentiment stickers. So if I didn't mention it, I added the Good Times Here sticker over on the left page on the bottom. And then I'm adding the You Are Amazing sticker over here on the right. And less is more. There's a lot more that I could do, but by popping up the photo mat on the left and the larger photo mat on the right, that adds dimension. Adding some more of the faux glass dots around. And I am so happy about the 12 by 12 sticker sheets. I hope that you are happy too. And I hope that you'll check out all of the paper collections that have the 12 by 12 sticker sheets. They dropped on the shop site on September 6th, and it's Reindeer Memories, and it's Snowy Days. It is this one here with the Sweet Days of Autumn, actually the Autumn Memories or the Sweet Days of Autumn, and then we also have Halloween Memories. And all four of those workshops have paper packs and sticker sheets in them, and then you can also get the paper pack and sticker sheets separately. I hope you enjoyed this simple scrappin'. Tune in for more to come.